Everyone on the
I'm
rooftop was laughing.
there.
20 powerful executives stood in expensive suits, holding phones, recording the moment like it was free entertainment. At the center of it all stood Marcus
Yeah.
Thompson, a 32-year-old janitor, holding a dirty mop. Water dripped slowly onto the marble floor. In front of him stood Victoria Blackwood, the billionaire CEO of Skytech Industries. She pointed at the Sikorsky S-76 helicopter parked behind her and said loudly, "Fly this helicopter, and I'll marry you." The laughter exploded. Marcus froze. He slowly lifted his head. His uniform was old. His hands were rough from chemicals. His shoes were worn out. He didn't belong on that rooftop, and everyone knew it. Victoria smiled coldly and threw the helicopter keys. They landed right at Marcus's feet. "Go on," she said. "Pick them up." More laughter. Phones zoomed in. Someone whispered, "This is going viral." Marcus bent down and picked up the keys. "You serious?" he asked quietly. Victoria walked closer, her heels clicking sharply. "Of course not," she said. "You probably think helicopters run on normal gas." She turned to the executives. "Imagine a janitor who can't even read warning labels trying to fly a $15 million aircraft." The crowd laughed again. Marcus didn't reply. He simply put the keys in his pocket. But something changed in his eyes, something no one noticed. Because the man they were laughing at wasn't just a janitor. And the woman humiliating him had no idea her life was already in danger. Fast reverse button 6 months earlier. Robert Blackwood's private jet had crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. No survivors. No bodies. Only broken metal and unanswered questions. His daughter, Victoria Blackwood, inherited everything. A $2 billion aerospace empire. Military contracts. Advanced aviation technology. Unlimited power. And unlimited enemies. Broom Marcus Thompson. Marcus had started working at Skytech 3 years ago. Night shift. $15 an hour. No benefits. No sick days. Every night, he cleaned 15 floors, starting from the executive offices. The chemicals burned his hands. The bright lights triggered headaches. Old injuries. Old memories. Tonight was different. Victoria was still in the building, reviewing contracts in the boardroom. Marcus pushed his cleaning cart past the glass walls and noticed something on the table. Helicopter blueprints. A maintenance log was open. His eyes stopped on one detail. Flight hours, 12:47. Engine runtime, 981. That didn't make sense. Marcus paused. "Enjoying the view?" Victoria's sharp voice cut through the silence. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "These machines are more complex than your entire neighborhood," she said. Marcus lowered his eyes and continued mopping. "Just doing my job, ma'am." She laughed. "You know what's funny? That helicopter's autopilot system costs more than you'll earn in your lifetime." She stepped closer. Her perfume filled the room. "But you wouldn't understand any of that, would you?" The boardroom door opened. David Sterling, the CFO, walked in. His hands were shaking as he poured himself a drink. "Victoria, we need to talk about the Airbus deal," he said. $500 million. It has to close on the 15th. "It's handled," Victoria replied coldly. David glanced at the helicopter outside the window. Fear flashed across his face. Marcus noticed. He always noticed. Police car light something was wrong. Later that night, Marcus cleaned near the emergency exit. That's when he saw it. A red stain on the carpet. Hydraulic fluid. Aviation hydraulic fluid. Not from the building. Not from elevators. Marcus stared at it. His chest tightened. 5 days. That was all that remained until the 15th. Something terrible was coming. And the only person who could see it was the janitor everyone laughed at. Marcus Thompson had learned one thing in life. If you want to survive, observe quietly. That night, he pushed his cleaning cart through the silent executive floor, but his mind was loud. The numbers from the helicopter log kept replaying in his head. 12:47 flight hours. 981 engine runtime. That gap was not a mistake. It was a lie. Marcus entered the executive bathroom and looked at himself in the mirror. His face looked older than 32. Dark circles under his eyes. Jaw tight. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small orange bottle. Sertraline. Medicine for nightmares. For the screams. For the faces that never left him. He swallowed a pill without water. Helicopters always made the memories worse. Brain a dangerous mind at work. Back in the boardroom hallway, Marcus noticed something else. Another red stain near the carpet edge. Same hydraulic fluid. Someone had spilled it recently. and someone had tried to clean it, but not well enough. Long night? A quiet voice asked. Marcus turned. Sarah Mitchell, HR manager, stood there holding a thick folder marked confidential. She looked tired. Scared. Always is, Marcus replied. She lowered her voice. She's getting worse. Ever since Robert. She stopped herself. Marcus noticed the folder slightly open. Inside, he saw a title page. Last Will and Testament, Robert Blackwood. Sarah noticed his eyes and quickly closed the folder. I should go, she said and walked away fast. Marcus didn't follow, but he remembered. Briefcase secrets behind closed doors. Later, Marcus returned to the boardroom. Victoria and David Sterling were arguing. The 15th is non-negotiable, David said sharply. Insurance, investors, everything depends on it. I said it's handled, Victoria replied. If I have to, I'll fly the helicopter myself and show them Blackwood's strength. David's face turned pale. The helicopter? He said quickly. The maintenance is perfect. I checked it myself. Marcus lowered his head and pushed his cart toward the door. But his ears were wide open. Too wide open. Person kneeling, public humiliation. The next morning, the building was full. Victoria stood in the main lobby addressing 40 managers. Marcus mopped nearby, invisible, until Victoria decided otherwise. Let me show you what happens when standards drop, she announced. She walked straight toward Marcus. This man has worked here 3 years, she said loudly. Tell me, Marcus, have you learned anything about aviation in all that time? Some managers laughed. Marcus kept mopping. Answer me. I've learned some things, he said calmly. Victoria grabbed a coffee cup from an executive and poured it onto the floor Marcus had just cleaned. Clean it, she said, or clear out your locker. Silence. Phones came out. Someone started live streaming. Marcus slowly got down on his knees. The sound echoed across the marble floor. He cleaned the coffee while Victoria spoke proudly. This is why Skytech hires the best, she said. David Sterling watched from above, whispering into his phone. Yes, the 15th, the hydraulics will fail at altitude, make it look natural. Marcus heard every word. A silent warning. As the crowd dispersed, Sarah rushed forward and knelt beside Marcus. Here, she whispered, helping him clean. Victoria stomped closer. He cleans alone. Sarah stood up, but slipped something into Marcus's hand. A small key. She mouthed silently. Robert's office. Tonight. Marcus closed his fist, warning the threat. That evening, Marcus received a text from an unknown number. Stop digging, or you'll join Robert. He deleted it. Looked up at the helicopter on the roof. 5 days. That was all. If he did nothing, Victoria Blackwood would die. The woman who humiliated him. The woman who made him kneel. His hands stopped shaking. For the first time in years, his mind was clear. War was coming, and Marcus Thompson had never been good at running from it. 2 nights before the 15th, Marcus worked his usual night shift, but nothing felt normal anymore. The Skytech tower hummed quietly, like it was holding its breath. Preparations for Victoria's flight were everywhere. Banners, emails, security patrols. Everyone believed the future of the company would be decided in the air. At 2:07 a.m., the executive floor was empty. Marcus stopped in front of a locked door. Robert Blackwood's office. Untouched since his death. Marcus pulled out the small key Sarah had given him and turned it slowly. The lock clicked. The door opened with a soft groan, like it hadn't wanted to be disturbed. Dust floated in the moonlight. The room smelled of leather, old books, and cigars. A life paused mid-sentence. Marcus stepped inside and closed the door behind him. He searched carefully. Desk drawers, filing cabinets, picture frames. Nothing useful at first. Then he noticed a thick aviation manual on the shelf. Too thick. He opened it. Inside was a hidden compartment. A black flash drive, neatly taped, labeled with one word. Insurance. Marcus plugged it into Robert's old computer. The screen lit up. Files opened instantly. Not money insurance. Not company insurance. Life insurance. If Victoria Blackwood died in an aviation accident, David Sterling would receive $100 million as interim CEO compensation. Marcus stared at the screen. The policy had been signed 2 weeks before Robert's death. His chest tightened. Footsteps echoed outside. Marcus quickly pulled out the drive, slipped it into his pocket, and grabbed his mop. He stood still behind the door as it slowly opened. David Sterling stumbled in. Drunk. Tie loose. Shirt wrinkled. Phone pressed to his ear. I need more time. David whispered. "After the 15th, I'll have the money. 50 million. Please." He paused, listening. "No, don't bring my family into this. My daughter is 8. Marcus barely breathed. "I did what you asked," David said. "The hydraulic fluid has been replaced. It will crystallize at altitude. It'll look like a failure." Another pause. "Yes, just like Robert." The call ended. David walked to the window and stared at the helicopter on the roof. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "They gave me no choice." He left the room. Marcus stayed frozen for a long time. Now he knew. David hadn't killed Robert directly, but he had allowed it. Helicopter, a risky choice. Marcus climbed to the rooftop. The Sikorsky S-76 sat silently under the night sky. He opened the maintenance panel with practiced ease. His fingers touched the hydraulic fluid. Wrong smell. Wrong thickness. This fluid would lock the controls at 10,000 feet. Instant death. Marcus thought fast. If he drained it completely, David would notice. If he warned Victoria, she wouldn't believe him. So Marcus did something dangerous. He added a small amount of standard hydraulic fluid to the mixture. Not enough to stop failure, just enough to delay it. Instead of failing over the ocean, it would fail at 3,000 feet. Low enough for survival. If the pilot knew what to do. Writing hand preparing for the worst. Back in the janitor's closet, Marcus opened an old notebook. He wrote step-by-step emergency instructions. How to recognize failure. How to control panic. How to perform auto-rotation. How to land. His hand was steady. His mind was clear. His phone rang. Unknown number. "You were in Robert's office," a distorted voice said. "Stop now or your medical records go public. PTSD. Fallujah." The call ended. Marcus stared at the phone, then at the notebook, then at the helicopter outside the window. He kept writing. Because some battles are worth fighting, even if they destroy you. The 15th arrived cold and clear. Perfect flying weather. Marcus had not slept in 48 hours, but his mind felt sharp. The building buzzed with excitement. Executives smiled. Assistants rushed. Cameras waited. Everyone believed today would bring success, headlines, and money. Victoria Blackwood entered the lobby wearing a fitted flight suit. Confident. Powerful. Afraid, though she hid it well. The helicopter waited on the roof like a promise and a threat. David Sterling stood nearby, sweating despite the morning chill. He kept checking his watch. "We leave at 8, Victoria said. "On time." Marcus pushed his cleaning cart across the marble floor, moving slowly on purpose. In his pocket was the folded emergency guide he had written. He needed to place it inside the helicopter, but security hovered close. One mistake, and everything would collapse. Then opportunity appeared. Victoria's assistant hurried forward, holding a cup of expensive coffee. The same brand Victoria drank every morning. Marcus adjusted his cart slightly and bumped her arm. Coffee exploded everywhere. Across Victoria's suit. Her hair. Her face. Silence hit the lobby before the explosion of rage. "You useless idiot." Victoria screamed. "Do you know what this costs?" "I'm sorry," Marcus stammered, lowering his eyes. "I have to fly in 20 minutes, she shouted. "There's a spare suit in your office," David said quickly. Too quickly. "You can change." Victoria glared at Marcus. "You're fired. Security, remove him." But Marcus heard only one thing. 20 minutes. While Victoria changed upstairs and David paced nervously on his phone, Marcus slipped into the maintenance stairwell. He knew the guards' routines. He had memorized them over years of invisibility. The rooftop door opened easily. The Sikorsky waited. Marcus moved fast. He opened the cockpit door and placed the folded instructions on the pilot's seat, where Victoria could not miss them. Then he hid his phone under the co-pilot seat and activated the recorder. Evidence mattered. Before leaving, Marcus hesitated. He reached into his jacket and pulled out his old military challenge coin. He placed it on top of the papers. If she saw that coin, she would read. He closed the door and disappeared. Minutes later, Victoria arrived on the roof. She climbed into the helicopter and noticed the papers. Annoyed, she picked them up, ready to throw them away. Then she saw the coin. She turned it over. CW-3 Marcus Thompson, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Her breath caught. David approached the aircraft. "Everything okay?" "Fine," she said, forcing calm. She slipped the papers into her pocket. The rotors began to spin. The sound slammed into Marcus from inside the building. His hands shook. Memories surged. Fire. Screams. Fallujah. He leaned against the wall and forced himself to breathe. The helicopter lifted smoothly. 1,000 feet. 2,000. Marcus rushed into the boardroom where the flight tracker glowed on the screen. David stood there, staring. 2,500 feet. Then Victoria's voice crackled through the radio. Controls feel stiff. David went pale. Hydraulic pressure dropping, she said. Fear crept in. Static filled the room. Then her voice returned, steadier. Attempting emergency auto-rotation. She was following the instructions. The altitude dropped, but stayed controlled. 2,000. 1,500. 1,000. Landing, Victoria said. Silence. Then the final words. Down safely. Marcus closed his eyes. She was alive. But the danger was not over. Marcus watched David carefully. Fear twisted the man's face. He was trapped, and trapped men make terrible choices. Sirens echoed outside. News helicopters circled. Cameras waited for tragedy. Marcus knew the truth would surface, slowly and violently. Today was only the beginning. The real battle would come after survival. Power, money, guilt, and revenge would collide. And when they did, everyone inside Skytech would learn the same lesson. Never judge a man by his uniform. Some wars are silent, and the quiet ones kill fastest. Marcus stayed standing, ready again. 30 minutes later, the boardroom doors burst open. Victoria Blackwood walked in, alive but shaken. Her flight suit was torn. Her hair was a mess. But her eyes were sharp. Where is he? She demanded. No one answered. She slammed her hand on the table. Where is Marcus? David Sterling sat in a chair, pale and sweating. 2 FBI agents stood behind him. Sarah Mitchell was near the window, holding a thick folder. Sirens echoed outside the building. He saved my life, Victoria said. Someone explain. Now. Sarah stepped forward. Marcus Thompson isn't just a janitor. She opened a laptop and turned it toward Victoria. On the screen was a younger Marcus in military uniform. Medals on his chest. Calm eyes. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Sarah said. 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. The Night Stalkers. Elite helicopter pilots. Victoria stared. This man flew combat missions in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Sarah continued. 1,500 combat hours. Decorated for valor. Victoria's hands began to shake. Why didn't I know? She whispered. David laughed weakly. Because you never looked. Victoria turned to him. You sabotaged my helicopter. David broke. They own me, he cried. The Torino family. Gambling debts. 50 million. They threatened my daughter. So you let my father die? Victoria said. David lowered his head. I didn't stop it. An FBI agent spoke. The hydraulic fluid was altered, but someone diluted it just enough to allow survival. That person knew exactly what they were doing. Victoria closed her eyes. Marcus, she said. Outside, in the employee parking lot, Marcus sat in his old car, engine running. Security guards stood nearby. He was exhausted. Empty. Stop him, Victoria ordered suddenly. She ran. Her heels echoed across the lobby. Employees gathered at windows. Phones came out. History was about to repeat itself. Marcus saw her approach. He opened the door and stepped out. Let me go, he said quietly. I'm just a janitor, remember? Victoria held up the challenge coin. You're a war hero. Past tense, Marcus replied. You saved my life. I delayed your death. She stepped closer. My father hired you to protect me. He hired a janitor. I know everything, she said. David confessed. The FBI has him. You changed the hydraulics. Marcus looked at the crowd forming around them. Cameras. Faces. You made me kneel, he said calmly. In front of everyone. Live stream. 2 million views. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. I didn't know. You didn't care, Marcus said. There's a difference. Sarah rushed forward with a folder. Marcus, show her. He hesitated, then opened it. My medical records, he said. Fallujah. Bad intelligence. I fired on the wrong target. A family. Children. Victoria covered her mouth. They lived, Marcus said. Barely. I see them every night. That's why I can't fly. Silence swallowed the parking lot. David was led past them in handcuffs. They'll kill my family, he screamed. You signed your death warrant. A black military SUV arrived. A colonel stepped out and saluted Marcus. The Torino family is finished, he said. Thanks to you. Victoria knelt suddenly on the concrete. I'm sorry, she said, for treating you as less than human. Get up, Marcus said gently. Kneeling doesn't fix anything. She stood. What does? She asked. Change, Marcus said. Real change. He handed her the helicopter key she had thrown at him. Fly your own life, he said. Then he turned and drove away. Everyone knew this story was far from over. 3 days later, every employee of Skytech Industries stood inside the main atrium. The same marble floor, the same walls, but the air felt different. Quiet, honest. Victoria Blackwood stood at the podium. No notes, no smile. Dark circles under her eyes showed she had not slept. You've all seen the videos, she began. The one where I humiliated Marcus Thompson, and the one where I learned he saved my life. The room stayed silent. I'm not here to defend myself, she said. I was wrong. Power made me cruel, and cruelty nearly killed me. Marcus stood at the back, wearing jeans and a simple shirt. No uniform, no mop. Sarah Mitchell stood beside him. Effective immediately, Victoria continued, Skytech changes. Screens lit up behind her. Custodial staff will receive full benefits. Minimum $30 an hour. Respect is no longer optional here. Murmurs spread. Anyone who humiliates or abuses support staff will be terminated, she added. Then she took a breath. I'm also creating the Robert Blackwood Foundation. Free flight training and recertification for veterans with PTSD. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Victoria looked directly at him. Marcus Thompson, please come forward. Slowly, he walked to the front. People moved aside. Some avoided his eyes. Others nodded. Victoria handed him an envelope. Your final paycheck. And 3 years of combat pay my father secretly sent through a shell company. Marcus stared at the number. I don't want charity, he said. This isn't charity, Victoria replied. It was always yours. She turned to the crowd. Marcus is fired as a janitor. Gasps filled the room. Because I'm offering him a new role, she continued. Chief of Flight Safety. You report directly to me. Marcus shook his head. I can't fly anymore. You don't need to, she said. You need to protect lives. A colonel stepped forward. The Pentagon requested him. Marcus paused. One condition. I run the foundation. Victoria nodded. Deal. They shook hands. Then Marcus did something unexpected. He pulled out his pill bottle and held it up. I have PTSD, he said. If that makes you uncomfortable, say it now. Silence. Then a young engineer spoke. Anxiety. Another voice. Depression. More followed. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. We will cover all mental health care, she said. No limits. No shame. Applause filled the atrium. 6 months later, the rooftop helipad shined under autumn sun. Marcus stood beside the helicopter, teaching 12 veterans. Broken pilots finding hope again. Hydraulic pressure? Marcus asked. Normal, they replied. Victoria approached in a flight suit. Ready? Marcus asked. Nervous, she admitted. Fear keeps you alive, he said. They lifted off smoothly. At 3,000 feet, Victoria spoke quietly. I love you. Not romantic. Honest. Everyone deserves saving, Marcus replied. 1 year later, Marcus stood at a memorial podium. Behind him stood 53 graduates of the foundation. A janitor was hired, Marcus said, but a soldier was seen. Victoria sat in the front row, no longer hiding behind anger. Look closer, Marcus finished. The person you ignore might be the one who saves you. The crowd stood and applauded. For the first time since Fallujah, Marcus felt peace. The war was finally over.